Hi guys, welcome back. So till now we have seen the basic Swagger documentation based REST API by using a Flask. So now let's get into some advanced things. So as I said in my past video, as of now, like it is using a default uh, namespace, and I said like we will be using a multiple namespace. So how to achieve that? So let's make a directory, let's make a folder called as a Swagger Advanced. So in Swagger Advanced, let's make an simple file called as an app.py, and let's create a model called as an API. Sorry, APIs. Okay. So now we have an APIs folder inside this Swagger Advanced folder and one app.py. In app.py, we have not wrote anything. In APIs we don't have anything till now, so let's make this APIs as a module. So let's have this thing called as an init.py. So it will be an visualizer for the model, and as I said, we will be having a namespace. Let's create one more file called as an cars.cars.py. So this cast.py is one of the module which will be having a namespace called as a cars. So something related to cars and and the collection of APIs will be wrapped in this specific file. So now what we are trying to do is uh, now like we will be having a set of cars. As soon as we give a car name, we must compute what is the cost we will be getting, what will be the cost that has been estimated. Okay, so as of now, like we don't have any data frame or else any data set. So let's define an called as an data with as in dictionaries, with the car name as in keys, and values as and amount as in values, as we have given a data here. Now let's create a namespace. So for that, let's import few things, that is from Flask RESTplus, import resource which is required for our class, and namespace. Okay, so now let's create a namespace called as a car. Okay, so the namespace, and for that we will be having a specific uh, entry point called as a car, and the description is cars price details, something like this. Okay, now let's create a class. No, before that we need an argument parser, right? So let's create an argument parser. So that is like yeah, yeah, are you, something like that, and it is for car dot parser. So it is something like car dot parser, and let's add an argument for that. So the argument will be like dot add arguments. So here we will be having an argument squad as an name, and the type must be string, and description, and let's have a description called help, known as name of car to get their amount. Okay, so let's think this dictionary is our database um, for as of now. So now as we have a namespace, so we know, like in our past tutorial, in our basics tutorial, let's go for the basics. You know, like we have given a root here, document here, expected. All this is built on an API, right? Now similarly, in our advance, what we try to do is we try to build that on our namespace. So we have a car namespace. So let's add car dot root, and let be an entry point, and what it is expecting, what is the document of that, and the document is with a response, something like response. So it will be 200, means okay. If it is 400, um, so if it is 400, let's keep it as data not there. All right. So if we so we need to remember, if the data is not there, we need to raise a 400 as an error code. Okay. And apart that, we need to expect what are the arguments need to be attached for that. Okay. Now here are you, perfect. So now let's define a class called as an cars with resource allocated for that, and let's try with a post method, just a post method, self. Okay. And now we need to parse it, right? So let's get the arguments from aru dot parse arguments, and once this has been done, now we need a name is equal to args dot get name, and here we need to mention the required is true, because we required a name. Unless until the name is not given, we cannot fetch any data from our uh, data dictionary. Okay. So now let's use a concept of try and expect. Like try, let's have a value is equal to what, data dot get name. Okay. If there is no key present, then it will be accepted, and exception as e, and we will try to uh, what return a response code of 400. Let's try to return a response code of 400. So we need to return a response code of we can like having a message called as error with response code of 400. Here it will be return value would be value, and success code will be 200. So this is our post method. So as of now, like we have completed one I mean to say one object, one namespace called as a car. Okay. Let's define the global as global data to fetch these values. So we are using a global variable. Now let's create another class, I mean another module called as an person.py. All right. So here also let's do the same thing, like let's copy all these things. Now instead of car, let's use it as a person person person, and here also the root will be person, and because you need to look into the what is the variable we are using for our namespace. So just make sure we use the same namespace here, and let's use person. Okay. And name, and name of person to get their gender. All right. So if we get that value, we will be getting value, and we will be returning gender. with name as name, obviously. So now we will be fetching a name, and we will be looking into an what we will be looking into their gender. So let's modify our data. So let's have Dhanush, and it will be M, and let's have, okay, Amrita, and let's have Shoda as F. All right. So now it's like person details. All right. So now we have all these values. So you can see like we have a two modules. One is a car and one is a person. All right. Now what we need to do is we have our init.py, right? In init.py, basically we need to register all these classes. So how we will do it? Let's see it. So in init.py, what we will do is from Flask Rest Plus, we will import API, and from our modules that are present in the same directory, that so that we can use a dot cars, import the namespace called as a car. All right. In cars we have this car variable, we can use that, and from dot person we can import person variable. So that is our namespace. Now we need to create our API dot so what else we can do is here we can give all the metadata with respect to the so I can give the title, version, and description. So title will be my advanced API, version would be 1, and the description a description of car and person details. All right. So now what we need to do is for this API we need to add the namespace of car. So how we will do it? So basically how we can do it is API dot add name space car. Similarly we need to do for persons, API dot add name space for person. So you can see like I have completed my APIs. So in init I am registering all my namespaces like car and person. If I go for that specific thing, I have defined my classes and what are the arguments required, and same class which takes the post and retrieves the data from my database, that is a data. Okay. Similarly for a person, so you can see the person argument and what are the arguments we require for to fetch the data, and we are doing the same thing. Now in our app.py, what we need to do is we need to initialize this app, like initialize all these APIs. We can do it in a simple way. Let me show you in an let me show what I can do in my app.py. In my app.py, so basically what you can do is uh, from Flask import Flask as it is required, and we have a app from APIs import API, that is we are importing this variable from apps. We are trying to import this variable, and this API we have an added namespace called as a car and then person that invokes car and person classes. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to create an Flask app first. So this is a simple thing, and for this app we need to initialize the app with API. Okay, so adding this line will initialize this APIs, so we will be able to access the APIs without any problem. So now let's define one of the thing, like let's try to run this app and see whether we are able to invoke the classes by adding this line or not. So now let's just try to run the app. So now uh, okay, so just give me a minute. So let me close the terminal. Yes, so cd flask apps. In Flask app, now I have in multiple folders like basic app, Swagger basic and Swagger advanced. Let me go for in Swagger advanced, and before that I need to enable my environment. Let me do that. So let me go for Swagger advanced, and in advanced, here basically what we need to do is we need to run the app.py. If we run the app.py, okay, we see there is an error um, that has been generated in an cars.py. Let's go for that. Okay, so what is an error? So basically we are saying add arguments. So it is not add arguments, it is add argument. It's add argument. Similarly we need to change in persons as well, so as we have copied it. Okay, so now let's try to run it. Okay, init app is not working for us. Okay, because that is a main entry point for our API. So let's see what is an thing we can do. So init app is not working. Okay, so basically what we need to do is we need to initialize the app API with an app, not with an app to API, like API with an app. We are linking this API to app that we have created here, and we are trying to run it. Okay, you can see it is running. Let us open in a browser. Okay, here you can see my advanced API with version of 1.0, and we have in multiple classes. Well, I mean multiple namespace with a post. Let me try with one of the class. Let me give RD here and see whether we will be able to fetch the RD details or not. Yes, we are getting a value that is somewhere of 3,45,000. I know that is not an RD cost, but yeah, but we are able to retrieve it. Let's go and check it in our cal database. Yes, we are able to get that. What if I give something that is not present here? Let me change my name for RD to audit and try to execute, and we are getting a null value. And is what is the response code we are getting? Oh, it is getting 2000. Why we are getting it is at 2000? We must not get it, right? Even though it is not there, like as we are using get method, even though it is not there, it is returning a null. So instead of that, what we can do is we can use like this, accessing with a key. So if we try to do this, okay, uh, let me rerun it. Okay, if I go here, try to get, and if I give something the name that is not present in that dictionary, oh, it is raising an error. Okay, I think we need to rerun our app because it is not reloading. Okay, let's again rerun it. Let's enable our virtual environment, and let's go for Swagger advanced, and let's run python app.py. Okay, it is running. Okay, let's try it. Okay, message error. So you can see like we are getting an error code 400. That is our customized error code. Okay, so we are getting our customized error code. So if we go for our car, you can see we have a customized error code. We are raising it is a 400, and we are able to do that. Similarly, let's check for a person as well. So if I go for my person, and if I try to give Danush, let me check whether the gender is been retrieved or not. Okay, it is giving null. Why? Because it's simple that I have given an key value here as in caps lock, right? But as dictionaries will look into a specific keys, if that case is not present, then we will find that as an error. To make it in a dynamic way, what we can do is we can use string dot lower here as well. And okay, string dot not lower, let's use capitalized. Yes, we can use the capitalized. Now let's, I think again I need to rerun the app because the debug mode is in off. All right, so let me go for my thing and let me enable this debugging. All right, so default debug is false, so that's why like we are facing this problem. So let's enable the environment again. Okay, okay, it started debugging. Okay, let's rerun. Let's go for the persons, let's go for the post, let's give Tanush and let's try it. Yes, we are able to retrieve the gender. What if I give my name the spelling, if I type a wrong spelling? Okay, it is giving, even though it is giving, as I said, we are using a get method, so it is returning a null. So it is expected. So what we can do is we can do the similarly how we did for the cars, right? Similarly we can do for the persons as well. By try to access by a name, try to use it by a normal method. So you can see as soon as I saved the file, it got reloaded. So that's the advantage with respect to debugging. So now if I reload, if I go for my person name and if I give same wrong name with a wrong spelling, you can see it is generating a 400 code with a message of an error. So that's how you can basically register multiple uh, I mean to say the multiple namespaces, just like as shown here you can see. And you can keep on adding a number of URLs for this. It is, there is a no limit as of now, and you can see it is using a base URL as an index itself. So that is also one of the problem, so we must not do that. So how we can avoid it, let's see in a next video. Thank you. Hi guys, welcome back. So till now you have seen that we are running an advanced Swagger app with then multiple name classes, and you can see the name classes with an specific URLs. So if I post something like Audi, so this is an API we are wrapping up, like we are having a car as a namespace. Similarly for a person, it is a person. So where we are getting this? So we are getting this from here where we have registered our namespace. So this is our entry point, and here also this is a entry point. If I change something here, something called as an person t underscore t, that will be reflecting in your document as well. You can see it is getting reflected, and if you try to do something like this, you can see the URL is also getting impacted. Now so as I said in my previous session, so like we are looking into the base URL. As soon as I come for this index page, it is loading up my API document. So this is not really a case, right? So basically what we required is like we need to have this base URL free for our UI or else any of the purpose, and we need to have it documents, like we need to have this specific URL. So if we come for this URL, then only our Swagger document need to be loaded. Unless until we don't need to load, we don't need to display our content for any other users. So we need to do few alternative things in our current code base. So let's open our code base. So now we will be doing two things in our Swagger Advanced Swagger Advanced. So we have this APIs, right? In AP in APIs we have this init.py and we have app.py. We are calling the API and we are registering it in app.py. So that's why we are running here. We are running only app.py, but it is loading entire our API because we are registering here. So what we try to do is in init.py, let's make a blueprint. Blueprint is something that we can add a specific URLs and we need to register that blueprint. It will be a separate individual thread. Just think like it is an individual thread. that we need to attach for our main block. Okay, so this is our blueprint. Let's have our blueprint as a documents. Okay, let's create a variable called a documents, and we have a blueprint, and let's call it as an API, and it will have the specific name format, and the URL prefix would be device. Okay, so this will be our document. So let's register, let's attach this blueprint for our so this document, this blueprint will be an intermediate between our app.py and then APIs. So let's attach that for our API as well. So we have attached a document for our API. Now what we need to do, we need to register this document in app.py. As I said, it will be an intermediate between an app and an APIs. Now instead of directly attaching an APIs for our app, what we try to do is, let's try to invoke a document here, documents, that is from here. So this variable we have invoked, and we have app dot register document, sorry, register blueprint. So here let's attach our documents, that is a blueprint. Okay, now we have attached our blueprint. Okay, now I see, like if I go for my uh, root directory, root URL without having any prefix, so you can see there is not found anything, right? So let's make a simple REST API format of thing, or else an template format of thing, like calling app.root with base URL with methods of get. All right. Now let's define an index, like the module, and it will return API 1.0 loading, something like that. Now let's see. So now as soon as I refresh, you can see app 1 API 1.0 loading. You can ask me, Tanush, where did our Swagger document went? So our Swagger document went for docs. If we click, if we go for this specific URL, then we will see our advanced API document. So this document, now let's see how it basically looks. So how this basically looks is like, now if I try to execute one of the API, you can see before it was just a car, now it has a documents appended with a car, like documents has been attached between an base URL and an car, and this got extended. So this is how we can separate our API document as well as uh, our Flask app. Basically we will be having a Flask app as well, right? So we can basically bisegregate this one. So this is called as an blueprinting. This we can achieve it by a term called a blueprinting. Thank you. Let's see in next video.